Good morning. Good morning. Hey, how's everybody doing today? Oh my gosh. We are going to talk about I don't even know how they say it, conjugal visits. Now, I'm going to explain to you very quickly what conjugal visits are. Okay, a conjugal visit is a scheduled period in which an inmate or a prison of a prison or jail is permitted to spend several hours or days in a private, like apartment with a visitor. Now, most conjugal visits are with wives of inmates. And why we are talking about that today is because there is an inmate who unalived his wife in the process of having a conjugal visit. This is horrifying. Now, I have News Nation, Miss Banfield was speaking on this, and it's titled, "We Want Justice, Another Woman Unalived During a Conjugal Visit with Her Husband, who was a person that red rummed four individuals. Four individuals, you guys. So please dress it up in chat. I know that you guys have a lot to say about this. I'm really excited to hear what you all have to say about this. Hello, Stephen, crime mobsters. Stephen, hold on there, my friend. Stephen, you are going to be blue, okay? Give me just 1 second, darling. I appreciate you being so supportive of my channel, and I know that you have wanted this. And here you go, babe. Rachel, hey. Okay, all I ask of my mods is to kind of don't block people just because what they say. You can remove their comments if you need to. H, I adore you, H, you little whippersnapper. So there you are, Stephen. I don't ask a lot of my mods. Just please don't go on a blocking spree. And if something needs to come to my attention, you can just give me a wave in chat or whatever. We'll take care of it, okay? I do adore you, H. I really do. Rachel, I haven't seen you forever. It's been a while, girl. So we are going to be talking about conjugal visits. I cannot believe that this man unalived his wife. That I'm going to let Ashley Banfield tell us about it. Hold on just 1 second, you guys. This is just kind of crazy. Kind of crazy here. Let me get everything together. I need to do this properly because I never do anything properly. Y'all know that. Oh, you are? You're going to graduate in October? Oh, I'm so excited for you, H. I really am. I'm so happy for you. For real. Hey, Lil Deb. Okay, so let me get this set up for you guys here. Give me just a moment. I need to make sure I do this correctly so they don't get me, because they do like to get me for sure. Okay, so you guys are going to be able to hear her. I am going to have music going in the background. Crime mobsters. Okay. All right. I don't What do you mean, crime mobsters? I don't know, but we're going to move on with this. All right, let me get this set up here. Let me get us a rolling. I've got my laptop up here. Okay, if that's too loud, you guys make sure to let me know. Let me get my ear pods in here. I probably will have to turn it down just a tad. It is kind of loud there. There we go. Okay, so this is News Nation, Ashley Banfield, talking about a woman who married a red rummer in prison, was receiving conjugal visits with this man, and he unalived her in the process of one of these conjugal visits. I mean, this is craziness. This is craziness. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me make sure I get it right. I don't want to mess up on you guys because, you know, my channel's low budget. I'm always messing something up. Okay. All right, here we go.
A suspect, a weapon. I've covered 10 of them. But never a woman killed on a conjugal visit to a husband. A husband who's serving 4 life sentences for murder. That one is a first, for me, anyway. Still, if any inmate would strangle a
4 life sentences. Hey, Matt, good to see you, buddy. 4 life sentences this guy is serving. 4.
loving and trusting and clearly devoted spouse, David Brinson, is a pretty likely
You guys can
candidate.
hear her, right?
Back in 1990, Brinson stormed into a Los Angeles apartment aiming to rob a retired tavern owner who he thought was a drug dealer. But alas, there were no drugs. There were no big wads of cash, just 4 men sitting there watching a basketball game. So David Brinson made a plan. He forced all 4 of those men to the floor and he shot them one by one in the backs of their heads.
Okay, I do want to show you guys what this guy looks like. Hold on 1 minute. Let me take this off for a second. This is him. This is the man who red run 4 individuals. He went in thinking that the owner was a substance dealer, which he was not, and he basically unalived 4 men for no reason. This is the man right here. Okay, here we go.
Also known as execution style. David Brinson was convicted of that, and he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms with no possibility of parole. And at some point, while David Brinson was marking off those long days at the Mule Creek State Prison in California, he connected with Stephanie Dowles on the outside. Stephanie was known to her family as Stevie, and she was...
Now, I do want to show you a picture of Stevie also. Beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. And she gets connected with a prisoner, with a prison inmate who is serving 4 consecutive life sentences. I don't know why women fall in love with inmates, but they absolutely do. They absolutely do. She was even taking her grandkids to see this man.
She was a successful salon owner, a mother of 2, and a grandmother of 6. Stevie believed that she was helping
Rachel.
inmate Brinson find redemption, thereby making him a better man. And soon, she married him. Not long after that, the state of California allowed her to be alone with him during something commonly known as
Conjugal visit.
Nowadays, there are only 4 states that allow conjugal visits. Bet you didn't know that. California is one of them. Inmates with good behavior can earn what are called family visits that take place in apartment-like facilities on the prison grounds. And those visits can last up to 40 hours.
40 hours. They can 40 hours spending time with family. But I don't understand. He was serving 4 life sentences. So even with him being a good boy, how would it be okay for him to be able to spend time with anyone in an apartment? This is crazy. Best looking woman an inmate sees every day. Yes, I agree, was his. I agree. And we'll get into why some women decide that they are going to marry or have a relationship with someone in prison. Now, don't get me wrong, because the women do it also. With a good example of that is a prisoner by the name of Leilani Simon, right? Uh, Life at, you know what screen name? My daughter watches that. My daughter watches Life After Lockup. I personally have not watched it, but she tells me all the time I should watch it. So, just very interesting.
That also surprised me. Stevie and David, they were on a conjugal visit last November 13th.
Okay, I'm going to show you a picture again. This is both Stevie and this monster together. She is so beautiful. Why would she trust a man like this? Why? I don't understand it. She is a beautiful woman. She probably could have had anyone that she wanted. And she chose a man in prison that was serving 4 life sentences, which it tells us what? He was never, ever going to get out of prison. Crazy, right?
When David picked up the phone and told the officers that his wife had passed out, the paramedics tried to revive her, but less than an hour later, Stevie was dead. For the next 4 months, her family was led to believe that Stevie died of natural causes. But then the coroner determined something else. Coroner determined that Stevie was strangled, apparently by the man she married and conjugally visited at the prison.
Now, can you believe that? He calls, my wife is not breathing. Please help, please help. If the coroner would not have checked into this, what happens? What freaking happens? He would have got by with this. He would have gotten by with this.
While Stevie's last visit on November 13th seemed to be the final chapter for her, we are now learning some new details. David Brinson had apparently engaged in several conjugal visits with Stevie, including one in which her 3-year-old grandson was present.
She took her 3-year-old grandson. Hey, Lady K. Yes, that is one point. Lack of self-esteem, right? Makes you think the guards set her up. Well, I don't know about that. What reason would they have to set her up? I don't know that would, why they would possibly think to set her up. Oh, that's a good one, Rachel. Richard Ramirez. He had women everywhere. Hey, love you. Right? That dude had women coming at him in every freaking direction, knowing that he was a red rummer of women. Oh, dang, was his. You're going deep, girl. You are going deep. Maybe they wanted to watch. Wow, that's a deep conversation right there. For real.
Let that sink in for a hot minute. He's a multiple murderer with a wife and grandson on the premises. We've also learned that Brinson attempted to take his own life back in July and failed. And yet, was still allowed his visits with Stevie after.
He had attempted to take his own life. I am going to say trigger warning, mental health is very important to us hoes over here in the hodom. And so please, if this conversation is a little bit too much for anyone today, please, we are not going to be upset if you need to escort yourself out and come back another time. Okay? I just want to say that.
As of yet, no charges, additional, I should say, have been filed against Brinson. DA says he's still waiting for a full report from the prison. But Stevie's family is heartbroken. They want justice, not to mention answers. They want answers. Why are murderers with multiple victims being allowed these family visits?
Why are they? It's one thing to have a visit with a criminal in the jail or in a prison where you have guards watching and, you know, people making sure that they, you know, mind their P's and Q's. This is what gets me, is the fact that if he did try to unalive himself, that is probably, he probably used that to his benefit, right? If he was married to her, then I'm sure that that was a big red flag. Hold on a minute, you guys. Okay, sorry, that was my son because I asked him to call me when he was on his way home for lunch. But we are good in the hood. So he probably used that, right? Yes, was his. That's a great point. The dude's already in freaking prison. So what are they going to do to him? They're going to charge him with another red rum, right? And what? Give him another life sentence? For real, what are they going to do?
Why did it take 4 months to classify Stevie's death as a homicide?
Yes, 4 months.
And how many more times will prison officials let this kind of thing happen? Because I hope you have a drink, because this story is about to take.
We need a drink. We need 420. We need to relax. Everybody take a deep breath. Here we go.
They turned sideways. Stevie was not the only woman killed on a conjugal visit at the Mule Creek State Prison. Also,
no. So this is not the first time that someone was unalived at this prison having a conjugal visit. This is crazy.
Also last year, on July 1st, Tanya Thomas was allegedly killed by her domestic partner during her visit to the prison. A partner of hers, Anthony Curry, is a convicted carjacker and attempted murderer. And his case just went to the DA in December.
Wow.
I'm joined now by Stevie Dell's daughter, Natalie Jimenez. Natalie, thank you so much for being with me.
So you think it was the guards? That the guards had something to do with it? I don't know, but that's interesting. Was his. That is very interesting.
And I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through, especially just how complicated it seems and the lack of answers. How did you first find out about this, and where do things stand today?
We found out Wednesday morning, November 13th. We got the phone call that she was found passed out and they weren't able to resuscitate her. About 2 weeks later.
Did they say anything more about it?
No.
Before we go further, did they say anything about being passed out? Did they say she'd hit her head?
But I don't think, I'll pull it up and look, but I don't know. YouTube is scamming. You just send a super sticker, but I get an error button, but they took it from my account. What? Love you. Are you talking about me? Sending me one? I've never gotten one from you, darling. It would show up if you did. Was it on another channel or something? Because I definitely will keep an eye out for that. Thank you for letting us know, because that's not cool. That's not cool if you're sending them and they're not coming through. Can you go back and stop it somehow? Can you go back and stop it? Thank you for letting me know. I will keep an eye on that. For real. Thank you, Stephen, for the trigger warning. It's a sick society and those walls. Yes, absolutely. Yes, please report it to YouTube or get it stopped, love you, for real. Because that is not right. That would happen. I hope that it didn't happen over here on my channel. Because I've never seen a super sticker from you, but if it was on my channel, I want to know. That way I can try to handle the situation on my end. So, was his said, check your email for an error message. But that's not right if they took it from your bank account. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry that's happened to you.
Or that she appeared to have a seizure, or anything else that was informative other than just passed out?
No. When David called, he called me. He said when he woke up to go to the restroom, he found her passed out. When he went to the restroom and came back, he found her passed out. But it's like, how did you not see her passed out before you went to the restroom?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I also asked, what time did she go to sleep? He gave me about 2-3 different times. Every time I asked him to repeat the story to me, he probably changed it about 4 to 5 times.
I want to show you guys another picture of her. She is so beautiful. Wow. What a beautiful woman. I will say it again. This woman probably could have had anyone that she wanted. She was beautiful. She was successful. Why in the world did she feel that, that she needed somebody that was in prison? A lot of women feel like that maybe being with, hey, Andrew, maybe being with someone in a prison setting is, they don't have to worry about them messing around with other women. Now, on the down low, I don't know about that, but this is heartbreaking. This is so sad.
So what happened? Like, why did it take 4 months for them to finally come up with strangulation? I mean, 4 months seems an awfully long time to come up with something other than passed
4
out,
months.
something as serious as strangulation. And 4 months seems a long time to let you and your family know that.
It is.
4 months. Oh, thank you, Matt.
4 months. I honestly think they were trying.
Matt gifted 5 memberships. The Georgia Gazette that's a great channel, and I do watch that, Matt. I want to let you know I do go over and check out that channel. That is an awesome channel for sure. And thank you for gifting the memberships. That means a lot. It really does. Thank you. You knew it was me using my business for Hey, not a problem, Matt. I got you covered over here. For real. For real. Inmates don't have anything but time. You are the center of their universe. They don't have anything to do except think of ways to control people. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I knew it was you, Matt, only because I do go over and check out the Georgia Gazette. Absolutely. And I do believe you're a mod. So please feel free to drop your channel. Also, Stephen, please feel free to drop the link to your channel, sir. For real. Oh, Bomba Cat got one. Awesome. Hey, Bomba Cat.
Trying to sweep it under. You know, it was a little short after, you know, we had help from a forensic person, and when he seen the body, he said there was evidence of abuse, so to do a private autopsy.
Wow.
So I really do think the prison was trying to go around it, and they found out that we were doing a private autopsy, and they just decided to tell us. But 4 months is still a lot. I think they knew sooner, and they could have told us sooner.
So they're also saying she showed signs of abuse. Why didn't the prison system, why did they not put a stop to those conjugal visits if this woman at any point was showing signs of abuse?
I honestly feel like they were just trying to find a way to go around it.
Wow.
What did you know about David Brinson? And were you ever concerned about Stevie going inside the prison walls to spend time alone with him in an enclosed space that's unmonitored?
Unmonitored.
I mean, you know, speaking to him, it was.
Well, look, now I've never been to prison. I know someone who has. My nephew has spent quite a bit of time in prison, not because he unalived someone, okay? Not because of that. Because he had substance problems that led to a lot of, other crimes. But he always said, and I'll tell you exactly what he said to me. He said, Aunt Missy, because that's what they called me growing up. I've always been Missy, okay? He said, Aunt Missy, there's not a difference between me being out on the streets and me being in prison. Everything that he could do, substances, etc., that he could do outside of the prison walls, he could do inside of the prison. So that's exactly what he said to me. I'll never forget when he said that to me. Gangs run the prisons, not the COs. I've absolutely heard that, Andrew. I absolutely have heard that.
You wouldn't think too much of it. You know, it seemed like he was trying to get better. You know, he was in school. He knew I was doing treatments. I was doing chemo treatments and things like that. So he would call me, and he would do like prayers before me going to my treatments. And, you know, he would engage a lot. Well, try to engage a lot.
Jail Jesus. Gypsy darling. How are you, girl? Okay. Jail Jesus, right? They all find jail Jesus. They will use Jesus every chance they get. They will. Absolutely.
A lot of the family wasn't a big fan of him just because he was in prison. Nobody really knew what he was in prison for.
What do you mean nobody knew what he was in prison for?
Coming out.
I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense to me at all. How would you not know why your mama's husband, why would you not inquire on or about why this man was in prison? That's what she's saying. Obviously, they did not look up why stepdaddy was in prison. That is a big red flag. They all find Jesus, but they all leave him behind when they get out. Oh, that is a great way to put that. The family wants a lawsuit. I agree with you, was his. David, I'll have to go back and see what his name was because I can't think of it off the top of my head. David something.
Oh,
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you make of the fact that
they allowed her to take the grandchildren to these conjugal visits? That is crazy to me. That is cray-cray. Absolutely cray-cray.
July 1st, this had happened to Tanya Thomas. She was allegedly killed by her domestic partner.
Now, this is another case. This is the first woman that was unalived. Her name was Tanya. And they sat there knowing that it was a domestic thing when she passed away. This is crazy.
It's two of these in 1 year. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I feel like they should have stopped conjugal visit when it happened to Tanya. They should have definitely stopped it. And even with David trying to commit suicide, he shouldn't have no type of visitation after that attempt.
Are you and your family planning to sue the
Here we
prison
go.
based on the fact that there'd been a death like this
Heck
in
yeah.
July, and that, you know, your mom was murdered in November?
Wow.
Yes. Definitely, we do want justice for my mom. You know, definitely for CDRC.
Yes,
to
ma'am.
change their
Rachel,
policies
they were
to be
married.
more involved with the civilians instead of the inmates. You know, just like inmates have to check in 4 times out of the night, they should at least check on civilians 2 to 3 times a day or in the night, whatever.
That's what bothers me. They were never checked. They were never checked on. It was 4 months that it took for the medical examiner to issue a certificate saying that she was unalived by this man. He at first was saying that it was natural causes. The thing about it is, they weren't even going to say anything until they found out that the family was going to have their own investigation, right? Yeah, that's crazy, and it was his.
Whatever the case is, but yes, we do plan on going after the prison, after CDRC.
Yep.
Did Natalie ever tell you and the family about these visits and the security? Was there a panic button? Was there some means of communication for an outsider being brought into the inside to spend upwards of 40 hours fairly unmonitored? What kind of security systems were in place? Did she ever describe it?
No, no security really in place. I mean, when she gets there, they take away all her personal belongings, meaning like her purse, her wallet, her cell phone. So she really just goes in there with the clothes that she brought.
No.
So you just go in there.
Wait, so she couldn't even have her phone? She couldn't even take her phone in there with her? That doesn't make any sense, does it?
And the only one that does a check-in is the inmate. They do a check-in 4 times out of the night just to make sure they're in the room.
Oh, that's when they do head count.
But there's nothing for the visitor who may be in a dangerous situation to communicate.
Oh my gosh. I want to show you guys a picture of her again. This is a picture of her. Man, she's beautiful. I can't say that enough. She is beautiful. Wow. This is so sad. So sad.
To guards, I need help inside this room or in this apartment.
No, just the phone. Just the phone where the inmates have to check in. But
And
either
I have to
they
ask
should
you this,
definitely have.
Natalie, Natalie, sorry to.
Well, I can understand that, Rachel, because people bring in contraband, but if they kept all of her belongings, they're not even giving her any way, if something was to happen, to even call for help, except for a phone in the room that they called to do a head count. Makes no sense to me.
Interrupt. Did your mom ever say that there were any red flags at all? I mean, she brought this 3-year-old, right? I think it was a 3-year-old on one of the visits. Did she ever feel there was any risk at all of having these visits?
Yeah, that was actually my son she would take. No. And it just makes you think, like, what if he was in that visit with her this time? You know,
Exactly. Why? No, I don't think she had mental issues, Rachel. We'll get in a little more about her, but the thing about it is, I mean, obviously she had to have some type of issues to feel like the only man that she could get was a man who was in a prison, right? That is just craziness.
maybe he would have hurt my son as well. It just makes you think all.
Why? I'm sorry, but why in the hell would you allow your mother to take your toddler to conjugal visits with a man who unalived 4 men execution style without a second thought and was doing 4 life sentences? He had nothing to lose. He had nothing to lose.
Kinds of things, but no red flags. The 2 visits that they went on, she said, and he also said that he was grateful to, have spent time with my son, and that was kind of a connection for him of the outside world, and he was really happy when he spent those 3-4 days with my son.
Well, I am so relieved to hear that your son is okay.
What possibly would a toddler or a child, period, what would they do to keep him occupied? Because it's just like a little apartment, right? I mean, maybe they're allowed outside and have like a picnic area and stuff. This is a lot.
And that it was on a different visit. But my God, I'm so sorry, Natalie, that you've lost your mom in this way. Please keep us informed about what happens next in your process. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
So many questions
A lot of
about that
questions,
case, about the other
Ashley.
case, about conjugal visits in general. I'm joined now by Leonard Vare. He is the former director of the Napa County Jail System and a former prison warden
Wow.
with 28 years of inmate management experience. He's also the author of Elephant Keepers, Reflections of a Prison Warden. Thank you, Leonard, for being here. I wanted to get your reaction to the fact pattern that I just laid out in the interview I just conducted. Tell me your thoughts about this.
So thanks for having me. And yeah, it's a real troubling situation at this facility. It's highly
It's the
irregular.
second time it
They
happened.
have conjugal visits. It's not very common. I think I heard you say that he was suicidal. That should have been a big red flag. And
but what I want to know is why he didn't unalive himself when he unalived her.
Just that alone, they should have not allowed him to have those kinds of visits.
I keep coming back to
and why did
the images that we see when we journalists go in to interview inmates. They're handcuffed and they are frequently shackled at the ankles. And that is policy. That isn't because they particularly fear that person at that moment. It is just policy. And then I think about how much freedom an inmate like this has with a family member, a grandchild even.
And this is what I get. This is what gets me, Rachel. The prison needed to be investigated after the first woman was unalived. And I'll pull that up and we'll check that also.
For 40 hours straight. And I don't, they're not, this isn't computing for me. How did anybody come to the determination that this kind of one-on-one interaction would be safe when normally everyone's shackled if he or she's an inmate?
Exactly.
Well, I think it's a policy issue, and this is a policy that they've had in the state prison system where they allow these types of visits. It's been something that in California that's been historically done.
And this happened in California.
That I have is just what you said. The highest risk individuals are the people that are there for murder.
Yes.
In this case, this gentleman was in prison for committing 4 murders. He was in there on a sentence which would have kept him behind bars for the rest of his life. He did not have a possibility
be treated
of
like
ever
prison, not a
getting
summer
released.
camp. I agree,
that
Matt.
makes him one of the most dangerous, highest risk individuals. You would keep that.
And that's what I don't understand. Like he just said, this guy was a very, very high risk prisoner. Very high risk.
Person, if you had a doctor's visit or a psychiatrist visit, you would keep that person in chains, you would have him shackled, etc. But then to take that same person and then put him in a situation like this, where he's around a minor child, and he's around a civilian, and there's no cameras in those areas because it's considered an intimate family visit.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a panic button or an intercom where somebody could have called for assistance. Just the fact that his background is so severe.
Well, and obviously there was a phone because he called him and told him that she wasn't breathing at all.
He's there after killing 4 people and serving a life sentence without the possibility of any possibility of release. It is mind-boggling that they would think that it was safe for him to have that kind of a visit.
Leonard, can I ask you this? Clearly someone came up with these policies long ago because there had to be some benefit to them. In your experience, is there a benefit to conjugal visits? Because only 4 states allow them now, and now we've seen, 2 horrifying deaths in just 1 year.
Well, I can tell you that
2 in a
California
year.
prison system is generally one of the more.
We've got Washington, California, and New York is 3 of them. I'm not sure where the other one is. I'll have to find it.
More violent prisons or prison systems in the country. There's always, murders, and if you just look at this particular facility, just in the last 2 years, there's been attempted murders on corrections officers. There's been murders against other inmates. This is a facility where there is a lot of violence.
And that happens in a lot of places. Okay, H, it's all good. That happens in a lot of the prisons where, there are attacks on the guards and other prisoners. It's just an everyday thing in prison.
Now, you consider that kind of an environment, that's what these people are dealing with daily. And then you take one of those people and put him in this kind of a situation, you are not looking for good outcomes. It's a prayer and wishful thinking that I believe they've been able to keep these kinds of incidents to a low degree. But now, as you said, there was one that occurred just a few months before this incident,
wow,
which should have been a big red flag. Right there, prison policy should have immediately been to stop all future visits until they could figure out what went wrong. There should have been an investigation. Outside investigators should have been brought in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that prisons do, and generally, I work in about 30 different states, doing consulting work for jails and prisons, and I find that corrections facilities and agencies are generally very risk averse. You know, they're not the ones that say, hey, let's try out all kinds of new novel ideas and increase liability. This is silly to, once they know that somebody actually was killed, and then to place another person in that same situation.
I have a feeling this
Yes.
may be the very last of the conjugal visits at Mule Creek State Prison, and maybe other states.
Well,
will
yeah,
take a
because
look.
they're
I have to
getting
leave it
sued.
there,
That's
but
the
I'm so
only
thankful for your
reason.
expertise. Leonard Barry, thank you so much for this.
That is crazy, you guys. That is just crazy. Wow. Okay, let me shut my laptop there. Okay. This is so sad. Why did they not? Oh, it just seems like they could have done better. I'm going to pull up and see if we can find anything about the first woman. Let me get our butterflies back up here. Yes, sir. What can I do for you? I hear you. Hold on a minute. Wow. This is just nuts. Okay, let me see if I can find, let's read a little bit here. Now, she was a small business owner, and they say that she was the most giving, kind-hearted person. And he unalived her in November of 2024. Now, the only reason that this is coming out now is because the family was going to do their own investigation and have their mother autopsied by a independent coroner. That's the only reason they're saying that the prison even told him what really happened. His name was David Brinson. David Brinson. He was 54. Her name is Stephanie Brinson. She was 62. Okay? Give me 1 second, you guys. Thank you. Okay, hold on. Let me get back to where I was at. I apologize. I apologize. Okay, wait. Where did it go? Where did it go now? Where did it go? My little Guns N' Roses in there. Little Guns N' Roses. Okay, so hold on. There we go. I found it. Okay, so like I said, his name was David Brinson. He was 54. She was named Stephanie Brinson. She was 62 years old. Now, so David Brinson, the prisoner, contacted authorities on November 13th and told them that his wife passed out around 2 a.m., 2 o'clock in the morning. She was pronounced unalived at 2:51 a.m. following revival techniques. He was serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for consecutive life terms. He was convicted of unaliving 4 men during a 1990 robbery. Okay, and the correctional facility is in California. Now he's being held at the California Healthcare Facility in Stockton. This is over 30 years after he was sentenced in 1994. This was during a conjugal visit. Like I said, he is the only suspect. Well, of course, he's the only suspect. Yes. Hey, Karen with a C. No supervision. No supervision. I mean, I guess that would kind of be weird if they were all watching these individuals with their spouses doing the nasty, right? This is so sad. Some inmates are eligible for family visits, which it defines as visits that occur in private, apartment-like facilities on prison grounds and can last from 30 to 40 hours. Those on death row with convictions for sex offenses in the reception center's process or under disciplinary restrictions are not allowed to have family visits. So this man was not was not in prison for any sex offenses, okay? And he was not on death row. Hey, Jenny. Good to see you, doll. So he had no sex offenses and he wasn't on death row, but yet he was doing 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole. That make sense. The family visits are a privilege, and incarcerated persons must apply and meet strict eligibility requirements. Only those who demonstrate sustained good behavior and meet specific program requirements are considered. I hardly didn't get that word out. Requirements. Okay. These visits are designed to support positive family connection and successful rehabilitation. But did they really think that a guy doing 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole can be rehabilitated? What were they trying to? I don't get that. So Stevie, as she's called, was a hairstylist and a small business owner. She was what they called the glue that held the family together. Her son, Armand Torres, added that the family was devastated by the loss. I'm sure it was. Now, her maiden name was Bowles, I believe. Let me check. Dowles. I'm sorry, it wasn't Bowles, it was Dowles with a D. Her married name was Brinson. His name was David Brinson, and she took his name, and so her name was Stephanie Diane Brinson. They are blaming the prison for this, saying that they couldn't believe that the prison let it happen. Now, this is what gets me. Stephanie and her husband would read the Bible together, right? They would read the Bible together. And she was pushing him to try to be a better person. They believed that their mother was just left alone, that she did try to call for help, and there was nothing that she could do. Remember, they did not allow her to have a cell phone while she was partaking in these conjugal visits. I just can't believe that that this happened. Pretty freaking wild. Pretty wild. I want to try to find out about the other woman. Give me 1 minute here. Woman. Let me see if I can find the other woman. Y'all know me, I'm nosy. I gotta pull up the other woman. I want to know who she was. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's talk about the other woman that passed from this also. Hold on. Hold on, you guys. This is horrible. Okay, I am going to show you guys this article that I'm reading right now. Okay. So this article is from a USA Today. Okay, and credit goes to Janine Santucci, who wrote this article. 2 women were allegedly unalived while visiting their significant others in a California prison last year, putting the controversial practice of conjugal visits for inmates in the national spotlight. Okay, so we have talked about Stephanie Brinson, okay, who David Brinson, her husband, 54, Stephanie was 62, they say. We know he unalived her, but this is the woman that was unalived by her partner before Stephanie was. So her name is Tanya Thomas. She was 47. She was also, trigger warning, strangled while with her domestic partner, Anthony Curry, also serving a life sentence in the same prison. Now, Anthony Curry was charged with Tanya Thompson's red rum. Okay. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. I don't know. They're not saying a whole lot. Conjugal visit allows an inmate to meet privately with a visitor for hours or days at a time, usually on prison grounds in a facility set up with a bed and often a kitchen. Basically, it's depicted as the opportunity for the inmates to have relations with their spouses. It can also include the inmates' children, or as with Stephanie, a grandchild to be taken. Hey, Poppy. Hope you're having a good day. Okay. The practice started in the U.S. in the early 1900s at Parchman, the Mississippi State Penitentiary. Wow. The practice had expanded to 17 states by the 1990s for family bonding. Advocates for the programs have argued they reduce inmate on inmate sexual violence and help preserve family relationships, particularly for inmates to return to their families upon release. This guy was not going to be released. He was not going to be released at any time. And they're trying to say that it would lower the possibility of inmate on inmate sexual violence. Wow. Okay. I'm not worried about the money part. I gotta go. I love you. Love ya. Have a good afternoon. I don't know how he could have, I don't know how either one of those men could have met the requirements to be eligible for these visits. They are called extended family visits. In Connecticut and Washington, the Family Reunion Program. In New York and California, they're family visits. In Connecticut, the visits must include an inmate's minor child and another adult in their immediate family. That's interesting. Only those who demonstrate sustained good behavior and meet specific program requirements are considered. These visits are designed to support positive family connections and successful rehabilitation. Wow. Well, I don't know if they're going to keep having these visits now. This is interesting. As states have axed conjugal visit programs, they've highlighted concerns about security, pregnancies, and sexually transmitted infections. So, if inmates are doing the nasty and then wives are being brought in, right? Hey, Kirst. Yes, he is in, from what I know, he was in general population. He was not on death row. I don't understand. There's just no way. There's no way that he should have been allowed these visits. And the first woman that passed away months before Stephanie did was strangled also. Wow. Visitation is important to rehabilitation efforts and to maintaining family ties. Unfortunately, it is also a primary method by which contraband, including but not limited to cell phones, substances, escape paraphernalia, weapons, currency, and gang-related items, is smuggled into the facility. Okay, so we do understand why they took all of the belongings. I understand that. But if she took a cell phone in with her, I don't understand why they didn't let her keep the cell phone and just make sure that when she left, that she had the cell phone with her. In 95, a Washington state inmate who had been convicted of red rum, Ton E. Havala, violently attacked his wife with a kitchen knife during a conjugal visit. There was a trailer at Clallam Bay Prison where conjugal visits were held, was equipped with kitchen utensils. He stabbed her, trigger warning, in the arms, neck, and face before her husband was subdued by the prison guard, wounding him in his shoulder. Wow, that is crazy, y'all. That is so crazy. Wow. I would say that absolutely the family is probably going to win that lawsuit for sure. But for the prison to not even come out and tell the family what they actually knew happened to their mother is kind of off, right? How sad. So that's a different prison, but in the same prison, Tanya Thomas was the one who passed months before Stephanie passed away. Isn't that nuts? So both victims were strangled, basically. So okay, y'all. Anything? What do you guys think about this? That is so sad. And I'm sure they did love their mother. There's no doubt about that. Okay, now when the other victim was found unconscious on July 1st of 2024, the perpetrator, Curry, 48, was serving a life sentence for attempted second-degree red rum and a separate 13-year sentence for carjacking with a firearm. But he has been charged with her murder and has not been arraigned yet at all. So, kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. Okay, I've got one more thing to show you guys, and then we'll wrap this up. I have a live scheduled for 7 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the another case. This is only 5 minutes long, so let me get this up. No, I agree. This should have never happened. Should have never happened. How sad. All right, come on, laptop. All right, you guys, give me a moment to get this up. Okay. Okay, hold on. Hold on, let me fix it. I know you guys this probably drives you guys crazy, me doing it this way, but that's the only way. Let me get the right one up here. Okay, did you hear the verdict in the Anita? Really, Rachel? That's something, isn't it? Okay, let me get this set up here real quick, and I try to cheat. I do this because I cheat. I'm a cheater. Okay. So let's listen to this interview. This is News Nation also with Ashley Banfield.
Go home. She is Tanya Thomas's cousin. Janine, thank you so much for agreeing to talk with me on the program.
This is Tanya Thomas's family. This is the woman who was unalived a few months prior to Stephanie. Hold on, hold on. Okay.
Tonight, and I'm very sorry that you and your family are going through
Can
this
you guys
loss,
hear that
especially
okay?
with this compounding story.
I know the music
this
might
happened
be a little loud.
twice. When and how did you learn that Tanya had died?
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us this spotlight to air our story. It's very tragic. So she died on July 1st of 2024. However, her son did not get the phone call that she died until the very next day, July 2nd. So we did not know until the next day that she passed away.
Wow.
She was, as I understand it, Janine, more like a sister to you. Did she ever mention much about Sean Curry? I mean, that she'd even been talking with him, let alone secretly married him?
She definitely did not let us know that they got married and that they were intimately involved the past few years. However, because they do share a son together, he has been in contact with her since he's been in jail for the past 25 years. So we were used to them talking here.
Okay, so in this case, they actually had a son together, for sure. Thank you, Poppy.
They're on the phone, but we did not know that they ended up getting married and were planning on, if he was supposed to get out on parole in January 2024, we had no idea that they were planning on living a life together.
So what did you know about him? And did you and the family think?
So he was actually supposed to have gotten out on parole in January of 2024. They had a son together. Wow.
Think much about Sean Curry?
So we've known him since high school. That's where we met. This was, I can't remember, but we were about 15, 16 years old. And we all had the same circle of friends. He was actually a really cool guy. I mean, he didn't show any red flags.
Okay, I definitely want to show you guys her picture too. I don't understand these beautiful women. Okay, so she did not meet him in prison. She actually knew him prior to him going to prison. So this is kind of a different situation.
Was kind of laid back demeanor, just like Tanya. And then they got intimately involved, and she ended up getting pregnant. But then during her pregnancy, he kind of just disappeared. And then while she was in labor in 1999, that's when I saw that he was on the news. And he was on the news because he shot his 19-year-old girlfriend, Zaneta Brown, I believe that's her name. He shot her in the head and dumped her body at a construction site and left.
Oh my gosh, trigger warning. So I got to show you his picture again. Look at this. This dude looks like a freaking criminal. He unalived his 19-year-old girlfriend and dumped her at a construction site. Wow.
Left her for dead. she survived because of Good Samaritans that
she
found her the very
survived.
next day. But Tanya was in labor when all of this happened. And then after that, he was on the news again because they didn't find him. He was on the run and they were looking for him. That's why he was on the news. He was doing carjackings and robberies. I mean, he was just going crazy for about a week or two before they finally found him. And he's been in jail since 1999.
So they share a 25-year-old child together now.
Yeah.
Did share. Is there some thought that Sean lied to her about having a parole hearing and maybe was dangling hope that he was going to get out, and that she may have actually set him straight on this
Yes.
conjugal visit, meaning I know that you don't have a parole hearing till 2027, and that maybe that sparked a conflict behind those apartment doors?
So he was being truthful about the parole hearing that he had in January 2024. However, it got denied. And
Okay.
I heard from her best friend after she already passed away, because her best friend was the only person that she told anything to. The family was left out in the dark. Tanya didn't tell us anything because she knew we would not approve, and we were
Okay, so his parole was denied. He was denied. This is so sad.
concerned for her safety as far as being in a relationship with him and him being out of jail. So the parole hearing, he got denied in January 2024. And it's my understanding that he told her to wait for him because he was up for another parole hearing in January 2025. However, Tan learned that he really was not up for parole, because if you look it up in the system, it's public information, that he had the date of 2027 for the next parole hearing. So we're
he was
not
lying
sure.
to her.
We're kind of speculating at this point. We're thinking maybe she went there in July to kind of bid her farewells with him and let him know, hey, I'm not going to wait another 2-3 years for you. I've already a good 25 years, and if you're not going to get out, then I need to just move on with my life. This is what we're thinking. We may not ever find out what the reason was, but that's kind of what's.
But, you know, one thing you did find out, Janine, was that 4 months later, Stevie Dowles died during a conjugal visit with a dangerous offender. What was your reaction when you heard this just 4 months after you lost your cousin?
So when I found out, I heard about it on the news in November of 20.
Okay, so I'm just going to end that there. I got 10 minutes, you guys. Please give me your thoughts on this. I wish I had the answers on why some men and women feel that having relationships with inmates and people in prison, there's not a good answer. There is not a good answer, for sure. For sure. I don't get it. Beautiful women. For sure. For sure. So, if they do not stop these conjugal visits now, they're taking the chance of this happening again. Both women, were beautiful women. Now, Stephanie met her husband while he was in prison. The prior victim had known her husband since they were young. They actually had a child together. That is crazy. That is so sad. So sad. I will check that case, the Anita Knudsen. it's, you know what, it's just some of these people, they do the crime and don't pay, you know, don't pay for what they do. And I do not think that with the case of Stephanie, that they should have ever gave that man any conjugal visits at all. At all. What were they thinking? Because it doesn't make any sense that they would even okay him to have any conjugal visits at all. He was in prison with 4 life without the possibility of parole. 4, not just 1, 4. Craziness. At one point in your life, you thought you was going to jail? Well, you didn't, H. You did not. And you are a good member of society. So I'm glad you're here with us. For sure. For sure, for sure. So again, thank you, the Georgia Gazette. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Always appreciate that. Always appreciate that. Just hope that I can, you know, keep producing things that people are interested in. And, you know, I guess I'm still going to produce things whether people are interested in them or not. But thank you, because that means a lot that you did that. And actually, let me, because you didn't drop your link, Matt. You did not drop that link, Matt. Let me come over here and find it. Let me pull up my sub list here. And I know it's on here. Yeah, you guys go definitely check out the Georgia Gazette. They're always talking about some really good stuff over there. Okay. I do need to get in here and get rid of some of these. I know it's in here. Here, I can pull it up. It's on here somewhere. Here, I'll just pull it up this way. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Thank you, Andrew, for popping over. I seen where you had your fish up there. They are very beautiful, I must say. I know it's in here. There it is. Na 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 na. I got you. Hang on. Hang on, you little whippersnapper. Tonight at 7, H. Tonight at 7, buddy. We're going to be talking about the young girl that they found in the burnout house. So sad. But I wanted to kind of get all the information that I could on it. Hang on. Here we go. I got it. I'll have to eat some oatmeal. I've got that freaking shaky shakes. And I hate that. That happens every once in a while with the medicine that they got me on. Yes, the dad was arrested. They did end up, he was at the hospital. There's the Georgia Gazette link, you guys. Please go over and check it out. Check it out, my friends. So yes, at 7 o'clock, we are going to talk about that. I didn't want to, talk about the two cases together this time. So no, I don't think so, Rachel. I heard that, but I'll have to check into that and see. So we'll talk about it tonight. Please feel free to come back. Poppy, I hope you're doing okay, honey. I hope you're feeling better for sure. So I am going to hop off here. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you much for coming in, hanging out, and talking about these conjugal visits. What a sad thing to have happen. I think it would have been a little different if it was someone maybe who robbed a bank. And I mean, of course, we don't want anybody to be harmed in any type of situation. But to let someone with that caliber of a crime that they committed even have the possibility of family visits, conjugal visits, is just out there. I'm going to get a nap in before I snap on somebody. Yes, you need to take a nap. I am doing pretty good. Oh, it's cool, Matt. I dropped the link to the Georgia Gazette. Thank you for being here, Matt. And thank the Georgia Gazette for gifting the memberships. It means a lot. It really does. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And if I don't know about the person who said they sent a super chat or whatever and that they took it out of the bank, but it didn't send it through. I hope that didn't happen here on my channel. If something like that ever happens, please, you guys let me know and I will see what I can do from my end. But yes, I guess you got to be really careful with things like that. So, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for taking an interest in this story. And come back at 7 tonight. And we're going to talk about the young lady that, unfortunately lost her life for no reason, as usual. But all right. Thanks, you guys. I will catch you later. Have a good afternoon. Go do you. Be your wonderful selves. And thank you guys again. Peace out, everybody.